TikTok has been criticized very much in the past, being not open enough for creators to make money on that. This is not fixing it, but they actually now are partnering with media publishers and companies to publish content first on TikTok.
Scientists are now making slightly sweaty robot fingers with human skin.
Technology will not pave the way to the metaverse, and there should be some kind of rethinking and redefining aspects of life if we want to transfer them from the real life into the metaverse.
Amazon gets closer to their real life MVP of drone deliveries.
NASA didn't change or updated their spacesuits for outside spacewalks or whatever in over 40 years.
Hi and welcome to episode 27 of the Tech Review. Every 2 weeks we gather to discuss the hottest topics in science, technology and innovation. And today, very new on camera 5, we have Dan. On camera 4 we have Chris. On camera 3 we have Vincent. On camera 2 this is Henrike. And on camera 1, hi, this is me, I'm Tarek. If you like what you'll see here in our session, then of course you can follow us directly on our websites ideasengineering.io and Free Tech Academy, and of course on our many social media websites. You can find the links down in the description or in the show notes, depending on if you are listening to us or if you are watching us. And now, without any further delay, let's jump into the news. Today we start with Henrike.
Wow, not expected that.
Chance of 1 to 4, right?
Yeah, but hey, why not? So first topic today is the new COO of Meta that I brought to this round. You probably have heard of it. It's like a 2 weeks old news that I almost miss due to our TechCon bubble that we've been into on our LinkedIn, etc. But Sheryl Sandberg announced that she's stepping down as the COO after 14 years, which is quite a news itself, at least for the outside world, because inside Meta they were not really surprised, since she already was less involved in the ads business that she actually built during her legacy. The new guy will be Javier Olivan. Don't know if I pronounced this name right. Who is not completely replacing her, which is the interesting fact. He will act as COO, but as Mark Zuckerberg puts it, in a more traditional way, so more internally focused, more operational, and not being like such a outspoken or like extrovert external spokesperson as Sheryl Sandberg was. So this is quite interesting because she was representing Meta a lot next to Mark Zuckerberg. At least in the beginning, it was also said that she had quite an influence also in challenging him and also challenging his decisions, etc. Also to the outside world. But now it's this also became less and less over the past years, to be honest. And it's also said that she was not always agreeing with him anymore internally, and she also said that to internal sources. So this altogether is quite an interesting fact that now she's stepping down, and the next one will be like more of the Mark Zuckerberg guys and focusing on internal stuff and probably not really challenge him in what he does in general. So he's now on the top alone again for this whole corporate, basically. So this is an interesting development, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm not used anymore to news that are not regarding directly the metaverse.
Not directly, no.
I'd love to know how good Javier and Mark are. Because Sheryl and Mark were really close, I read, and there were even conspiracy theories about them having a secret relationship or some kind of an affair or anything like that. I don't know. I mean, we will never know. I highly doubt it, but that's my personal opinion. I just would love to know, because we already heard a lot about Mark Zuckerberg being like a very straightforward leader, and to be frank, I don't know. It always felt to me like he's not really keen on having himself or decisions he's making challenged or being challenged by anybody beneath them. And so I'd be very interested to know more about how he and his new COO are actually, how close they are, because to me it felt like the chair was one of the only ones who really were allowed to, well, challenge whatever he did.
Yeah, that's
Really
actually yeah, exactly like that. I mean, the new guy, he is not a newbie. He's also for over 10 years with Meta, and already in high senior roles for quite some time. So it's not, he probably is on a really like on an operational level already close to Mark Zuckerberg in that regard. But when it comes to management and to management decisions, you're totally right. It was so far probably only Sheryl really who could be like on an eye-to-eye level with him, but also that decreased over the past years basically. So I don't know if you guys have read the Facebook book An Ugly Truth, which came out last year. Really, really good. Can highly recommend, because in this article they just touch upon that very briefly, but in this book you also get a clearer picture of her not being or not agreeing with a lot of decisions that he made due to all these scandals we had with Meta in the past 10, 12 years. So this kind of also showed how her influence probably was not as big as it seemed on the one hand, but also she less and less kind of agreed and probably from her side tried to act upon certain things, and just now, I mean, decided to leave because after all, she probably was like, whatever should I do now? It's it's enough, so to say. I don't know. But yeah, still it's quite, I'm also curious to see how this changes also in the outside appearance, because she had a lot of the scandalous decisions that he takes. She was the one had to deal with it in interviews and on panel discussions and on talks and etc. So this is gone now. So will he do it like Zuckerberg? Now he has to, kind of.
Yeah. It's a good question because I think he was quite invisible, right? I think the article said that he's there for a long, long time, and what was it, like 14 years, right? But now he's in a very visible role, and so it's pretty likely that he's been forced to step in front of a camera once in a while.
Although it said like not with more on the internal focus, like the new guy, he is probably still focused internally.
COO still is a big role. I mean, COO. I mean, you could argue in a lot of companies, COOs are actually running the show. So
yeah, he's in the spotlight if he wants or not.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but as you said, it's an internal role, right? So to put it in a nutshell, Mark Zuckerberg now is the one and only having all the power in his hands, and the other guy, he's just doing the boring stuff. So just to put it in a less diplomatic way. And I think this is exactly what he wanted, right? So I think this seems to be quite clear. Now he's the one outstanding. He's the one and only, like taking all the decisions and having all those interviews then. And the only interesting question is, what kind of decisions will he take? Where will it lead the company? And this actually fits to the discussions we had before regarding Meta and the new course into the metaverse. It's a 50-50 thing, right? So either it works out, then he will be top of the pop, he will be the king in class, or if the whole metaverse thing does not work out, then Facebook will not be the same as it has been before. It's not even now the same as it has been before, but then it will be something totally different, and apparently probably something much smaller than it is now.
Yeah, and it's
I'd love to know.
Yeah.
So I don't want to broaden this too much because I know we have to go on, but I would love to know. I didn't bring the article because we have this 2 articles per person rule currently, but Meta has postponed a lot of stuff just yesterday, I think, or the day before, something like that. And I'd love to know like how much he was involved there already. That's a good question to see if, because this, I didn't bring the article, so let's not talk about it, but still. Yeah.
But I'm wondering sorry.
No, go on.
If Mark is really stepping up into the spotlight, because if you look at the interviews he gave before, the good ones are rehearsed, and you can see that, because every time he gets asked questions where he has to improvise, you see him struggle. And I'm really wondering if he's willing to step up and go into the spotlight and be the face for the company solely, or if there's not another person coming up in the future taking this spot for him.
Or if he really does himself a favor if he does it. I mean, due to the reasons you just mentioned. Yeah.
But everybody loves Mark. Okay, Vincent.
I mean, they have.
If you say so.
They have the head of. I mean, Meta has this head of Instagram who is very like one of the only guys who can speak. I think without Mark's approval, I've heard. He has a lot of does Q&A on his Instagram, and I follow him. And during the whole ad and data privacy thing. He actually was one of the only ones to speak out. So we'll see what's happening tomorrow to him as well.
I see.
Other big platform, social media platform is TikTok, and they launched a subscription service, which is very, very interesting because TikTok has been criticized very much in the past, being not open enough for creators to make money on that. And I mean, this is not fixing it, but they actually now are partnering, obviously, with media publishers and companies to publish content first on TikTok. And that is very interesting. So right now there's a comedy show, and the 2 first episodes will be streamed on TikTok for free. And then you have to subscribe. I think it's like $3.99 or $4.99 a month. $4.99, yeah. And you can subscribe right on TikTok. So, and that is very interesting because on the one hand, it gives the kind of like the torch for like the responsibility for monetization back to the user, which I find very hard, like not good, because monetizing through users is one thing, but on the other hand, we experience social media to be more or less for free. Content creators create content that should be more or less for free, like in the current world. Of course, this could change, looking, for example, in the media subscription business. But then again, this is also something very different. But still, TikTok not raising any creators funds or anything, but just launching new features that people can monetize via followers directly. And this makes TikTok, that's the final take on this, makes TikTok even more a competitor for entertainment platforms, because as we have spoken about this before here in this tech review, TikTok is not as much a competitor to Snapchat, for example, or to even Instagram and Facebook maybe, than it is to YouTube and Disney and Netflix and Prime. I mean, if anybody actually watches Prime. But it is a big competitor because it shows that TikTok is much more in the entertainment game and making money through entertainment than it is than it is in the social platform game. I know you could also argue otherwise, but in my opinion, the first one is true.
Yeah, but still, I mean, on the one hand, it's great to see that they fight hard to stay alive and to monetize themselves. But if I think about the target group and the people who are primarily on TikTok, which is very young people, the question is if they are actually willing to enter this additional tier of entertainment, because TikTok already is great and is already very entertaining. And if they create this reliability on this new tier of paid content, it might become very hard, because I'm not sure if I would actually pay for a subscription on TikTok, because it's already so full of amazing content. And I hope that they don't go into this direction of reducing the ability of browsing the content for free. I don't know how, but they might want to create more incentives to go in there by, I don't know, reducing the For You page to only a couple of entries per day or something like this. make this like a pay up service. Yeah, but I'm really excited to see about this new structure. The screenshot that we see here is in landscape format. This is irritating because I would assume that content on TikTok will all be in portrait mode, right?
Very good remark. I don't know. I would assume it is it is not in landscape, due to the fact that, I mean, we know that TikTok sometimes gives landscape content less visibility because they don't want to do that, just as Snapchat does, just as Reels does. But yeah, something interesting to find out. I think that maybe these $4.99 you pay are more gamified than we used to experiences in the past, right? I mean, I would never buy something on Instagram via the Instagram purchase thing where I type in my credit card information. But then again, on the other hand, I mean, we see creators thrive through the ridiculous live stickers that you can buy. And I don't know how people between 14 and 20 are buying these. Maybe it's a 90% share of 18 to 20-year-olds, but I mean, I don't know how they do it, but it's happening and it's successful. So to me, it feels like TikTok is right about that there is a market of underage people with the credit cards of their parents paying for that. Well, we'll see. I mean, it's nothing, they don't force it on you. It is just something that you can use. And we'll see. But if it is successful, yeah, I bet that we'll see more of that also from the company TikTok side.
I wonder if I understand that right. This $4.99 is to subscribe to one series, right? One comedy series.
Yes.
And that way, it reminds me
Exactly.
way more of Patreon than of YouTube or of Netflix or something like this, where you have a subscription, you buy everything. And it's way more like you have this one content creator you really like, you want to support, and maybe it's even more like Twitch, just not live.
I mean, what I think why TikTok did it this way is, number one, they're really harshly criticized for not supporting their creators and making money on the platform. And number two, TikTok is known to be free. I mean, it used to be known to be account free. I mean, think back at that time. And therefore, I think that TikTok now is testing the waters for, okay, are people willing to pay for this? And right now it is great because it's just for creators. But if creators start to use that on a more regular basis, obviously the number of subscriptions will stagnate at one point because nobody will pay. I mean, I don't know how many Patreon subscriptions you have, or OnlyFans subscription or whatever. I have one, and therefore, it's my own. Yeah, you can find me there. It's new. No, I mean, I support one YouTuber, and I would never do more. But if they see that there are more people using it, and actually people would be more interested, and then they find out that it is like just the price that they're hesitating on, I'm sure we will see something like a plus side. I think that's why they did it that way.
Really, like the price. I mean, $4.99 for one of those series, 8 30-minute episodes is so freaking expensive compared to what you get for $4.99 on Netflix or whatever streaming service. So this is quite interesting. Yes. And then also, I wonder how, I don't know if you know that, but how do they include that in the randomized feed of videos you get on TikTok? Because you cannot start then with episode 3, like you need to get them kind of in the right order, and probably also be able to decide whether or not you want to watch it now, like how they want to include that in the structure based on whether you're subscribed or not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And so often, when you go through, you can see a little bit of the content you bought. And then there comes the next video. No, just kidding. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I could imagine that if...
I can answer, though...
Yeah, please. Sorry. No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I just wanted to speculate that it's probably decoupled from the For You page, and it's not maybe like teased in For You pages, but if you have multiple subscriptions, they must include something like a subscribe tab or so that you can go in there and see your paid content, which is coupled with your account.
Yeah, but kind
of... What I can... Sorry. I just wanted to say that they have like 3 features for the monetization feed that they introduce generally without being connected to that show, which is batches, friend communication. So you can only, like just on Patreon, you can only write somebody if you're friends with them. And then there's something else I forgot, but I'm sure it sounds like they're going to do it in the friends section.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I mean, I'm just curious to see how they do it. Probably that makes most sense. And also if users then will adapt to it, because it requires a different usage behavior than it normally is on TikTok. So yeah, just we'll see.
Okay, next up is me. So yeah, I'm not sure if you heard, but scientists are now making slightly sweaty robot fingers with human skin. And this is, wait for it, something that reminds me of some movies, especially because we always speculate how long it will take until we actually reach the stage. And first I wanted to say about this article, it's living skin, at least it's not human skin. But then when I was scrolling through this article, they actually use human cells and human skin cells to start this growing. And the idea here is that creating more lifelike humanoids, at least according to the researchers, would be amazing for people to interact with in a more natural way in nursing homes and in the service industry, because right now we see robots and we are kind of scared of robots. But the scientists say if these robots are human-like, then it's great. Then we like them, then we trust them, independent from this uncanny valley if they are kind of human. Yeah. And one quote is that they say, "I believe that living skin is the ultimate option for giving robots this appearance and the feel of living animals, because this is the first thing that we touch or that we experience." And in this case, they literally have human skin. It does not feel like our skin. They say it's very moist because they have to keep it moist right now, otherwise it will break and rip. But they really make it natural by moving the finger, for example, while I make this gesture, moving the finger while they are growing the skin, so that you get all these naturally looking wrinkles on this finger. So they literally grow the skin. It's not attached or it's not sawn into this finger, but literally they have this coverage and this real tissue, and this grows over the finger, and it actually heals if it gets hurt or damaged. It heals like real skin. And they say they also work on robotic faces that are covered with skin, but one step at a time. But yeah, it really reminded me of the movie Terminator, because back then it was just science fiction that we said it's a android with human skin, and now we are actually building this. And I really love that in the past we talked about creating the Matrix as a real simulation where human brain tissue is connected to. Now we have human skin on androids. So yeah, that's what we humans are building. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a little bit like with many other technologies we are discussing here, right? So we are really at very, very early stages. And very often we discuss like VR glasses, mixed reality glasses, and we come to the conclusion that we are actually quite early. And I think even with this one, we are even earlier, right? So like having sweaty, glitchy fingers, the idea of those robot guys touching me with this is really creepy. And yeah, exactly. So, I mean, who really wants that? So, and then the second thing is, you mentioned that this is just for fingers. This seems to be a really big effort. I mean, the whole thing only makes sense if you really have robots then covered as a whole, the whole body with this artificial or non-artificial tissue and skin and everything, and then it might make sense, but only if it really feels like human skin. I mean, if it's wet and sweaty, you wouldn't like that, right? You wouldn't like also humans sweating a lot, so that's more or less disgusting. It would be the same or even worse with robots. And then you also mentioned the uncanny valley effect. So This is also something that came to my mind directly. I mean, you have a robot there. If he looks like a robot, then you know it's a robot. If you have an avatar, he looks like an avatar. And then you see, okay, this is artificial. But if you have like an avatar, there are lots of examples where you put like digital pictures upon their faces, then they look more like the person, but only 95%. And the last 5%, which is missing. So although it looks natural, it is not natural. The behavior is not natural. And that makes the thing uncanny valley. That makes it creepy. And I could imagine it's even worse with robots. If you have a robot underneath more or less human skin and he behaves like this and then has this human skin, I wouldn't have that in my baddest dreams. Wouldn't like to have that. And I definitely would not like to have that in my bedroom helping me out of my bed when I'm some years older.
Yeah, I always have the feeling that it does not really matter what we people think. Science and technology will evolve into this direction if we want it or not. Yeah.
I think you will.
But it takes time.
Yeah, and
I think you will find in sci-fi quite a lot of enemies which have these kind of thoughts, a machine covered by human flesh.
Right.
I think you can go really, really dark with this.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm not surprised that this research comes from Japan when you have their demographic in mind and the forecast on their workforce, that they're really trying to look into ways to get robots going and taking over a human work to stay relevant in the next 50 years.
Right.
Apart from that, I think the technology is amazing. Just the capability that you can merge human skin tissue with artificial components brings you to really interesting parts. For example, you don't have to think about whole androids walking around, but imagine you lose your hand and you can get a robotic hand which is actually covered like Luke Skywalker's hand with artificial skin, with your own skin. It's just the bone and the ligaments are basically replaced, or you need to remove the knee or whatever. And we just can merge this so close together that it actually works, that the skin is working on the metal surfaces. And that is very impressive, I think.
Yeah, I think this is probably the most valuable field on where to use this, like on prosthetics. But when we think about robotics, I always think that attaching human properties to robots is, as far as I think, not always a good thing. Yeah? And we always talk about, what about the general artificial intelligence? And we want to have robots that are as intelligent as humans. But this means forgetting things or being lazy or making conscious decisions, which might be decisions that we are not okay with. But this is part of being generally intelligent, right? And having a robot, I mean, imagine the robot has really complete human skin with nerve endings. Does this mean that the robot feels pain? And don't we build robots to do things that we can't do because we feel pain and robots don't, right? And so having a robot with too many human properties is probably not what we want. There's like a minefield, and this minefield needs to be cleared. And I send in the robot, and the robot says, no, I don't want to, because there are mines. Go do it yourself. I'm not paid enough for this job.
I assume that next to nursery, there are probably a few economical sectors who would love to have an android with real human skin, which you can program and do whatever you want with.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if the human skin is actually making this difference. I mean, maybe, I'm not sure. I've never met one, but will he also have like body odor to be more human?
Isn't it more a UX question?
Sure.
Like, how do you interact with it when it feels like real skin, because it is real skin?
Yeah.
Does the android need to feel pain, or is it just for us important that it feels like a human?
Yeah, but it could simulate. I don't need it to actually suffering. Okay. Enough horror. If our tech review is valuable for you, please give us feedback with a like or a comment. That would help us tremendously, and it wouldn't cost you anything. And if you don't want to miss the next episode, just click on the subscribe button. And now, back to the news. Chris, where's the headline?
Yeah, which one is it?
it's a good question. It did not. Okay, I have to pull it from here. I guess it's this one. For some reason, it's not displayed here. But I guess it's this.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, I liked it a lot. That was a LinkedIn post I found last week, and reminded me of the article which Alex once brought, talking about fully automized farms, right? And this is, as we can see it here, an experiment with the drones, picking apples from the trees. And if you actually have that in big amounts, with a big size, big number of drones and cars, actually, then you could really like pick up the apples from big fields, and it would look similar, like, or a little bit like this. Might be also an interesting development for the future. So yeah, as said, reminded me a little bit of the article from I think it was John Deere, where they had this AI automized farms, and also this is one component which might get into the same direction, automized farms based on AI, drones in this case, but similar principle.
Right. I always wonder why things like working on a field is not more automized. There's always the story of whenever the farming season starts and like thousands of guest workers are migrating to the fields to collect like vegetables and things. And I don't want to make all of these people bring them out of their jobs, but it feels like an army of drones flying through the fields and collecting stuff would be way more suitable for the task. Yeah, but it's probably more expensive.
Exactly. On the other hand, so when I saw that, I also thought, well, I mean, you have seen how long it takes for one drone actually to pick one apple and put it into the box and everything. And then I was thinking, okay, so it also takes some energy actually to do so. They are not that quick. Then maybe the battery would not hold that long. Then you also need somebody actually to change the energy supply and everything, and this then for a lot of drones. So from my point of view, the whole thing, as far as I got it, is in experimental state, right? So this is not something which you can just buy at the next Bauhaus and then put onto your farm or everything. So, but I thought the idea is interesting. And of course, it has an ethical aspect or an economic aspect, depends on your perspective. Exactly the point you mentioned, right? So that, of course, some people actually who did that last year on the fields would not have a job next year. Also something that should be considered.
Yeah, we might have.
What I can add, okay, who wants to go first?
Please go.
Enrique, come. No, you go first. I said so much already about the meta stuff.
I just wanted to comment, like, now imagine these have like human skin, and then they get scratches and stuff as well while picking and harvesting the stuff. It's also then not really beneficial probably. So just wanted to make that circle back.
I wanted to make the circle back as well and say that I've heard from some farmers that actually they need skin. Those robots are not skin, but they told me that the human touch is that they can, for example, for delicate fruits like blueberries, for example, they can't be harvested automatically currently because it's less about seeing and more about touching the fruit, and then you can pull them out of the earth, and therefore with skin.
Yeah, I see. So, got it. Then we are waiting for the androids with very delicate fingers, with having sensory fingertips, so that they can work on all fields.
just for the blueberries. I don't know about coconuts. Yeah, who knows? Yeah?
The day they work on the fields, and in the evenings they do the social services. That delicate fingers, yeah.
Sweaty, delicate fingers.
Come on. So, too much information for me.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the robot who has very bad body odor as a feature, so that we can feel more comfortable next to them, because they are then very human.
Would we feel more comfortable if they have really bad?
I don't
VO?
know. I mean, that's the theory, right? We are building robots more human-like, and smelling is kind of human-like.
But I would wish for this feature just on demand. So if you go into a train and you don't have a seat, that you can press a button
Oh,
and you
I
get
see,
one.
I see. I thought you meant
Because
like.
I would feel more comfortable if it's good BO instead of a really bad one.
Alexa, set the bad odor to 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean,
The guests have to leave now.
it's like an add-on. You have to pay extra for this. Okay, Dan.
All right. I think I brought an article from a bit of a different part of the tech world. I'm curious, anybody of you played Diablo when it was released, 1 or 2?
Oh, 1.
All right.
I'm that old.
Because actually, last time you recorded this podcast, Diablo Immortal got released, and it's basically a mobile version of this game. And currently there's a bit discussion going on because they implemented a very interesting way to pay for a better character. Interesting way for microtransactions. And some YouTuber calculated that through and figured out if you really want to have a maxed character, you need to spend probably around 100,000 euros, I think. Yeah, euros, I think. You can do that by just playing the game, and then you're done probably between 8 and 10 years. So there's like both ways to go. And at the moment, there's this discussion going on about, okay, how do you monetize these kind of experience? Because it's a free-to-play game, it's quite a big mobile game. It has 3.5 gigabytes of size. So it's for a mobile game, it's huge. You can play it on your PC. And actually what they're doing is you can't buy extra weapons or anything of this kind. What you basically can buy is an improvement of better loot, so that you might, when you do a certain run, get better loot, which then kind of you have to gather and then to upgrade and upgrade again and upgrade again. And the question they raise in this article is also how many players really want to have a maxed out character, and how many are just happy that they can play for free and have like a mid or low tier character and just enjoy the game, and how many of these players are really willing to spend like 100,000 euros, and how should we monetize these games better? And this is a question I wanted to bring into this group, just to ask you what you think. What is a good way to monetize it?
Yeah.
Should it be just cosmetic, weekly payments, stuff like that? Yeah.
I think the most incredible thing is what we learned from Fortnite, right? Because Fortnite is completely free to play, and they have no mechanics in there where you can actually improve your gameplay with bought add-ons, but they make so much money simply with cosmetic stuff. And I always thought that this would be the new gold standard for monetizing entertainment content. And when I think about back to World of Warcraft, where these Chinese, I'm not sure how you call this, gold miners, like where they were farming or mining like currency in game and then selling this on eBay or on Craigslist or somewhere to people who simply wanted to save time. And this reminds me on this one here, where maybe I can actually buy for $1,000 a slightly upgraded character or something like this. Yeah, and what I want to know is if this actually works, or if people or gamers are already so used to this pattern of only cosmetic add-ons to be paid for, or if this is something that actually goes through. I would not want to play a game where I have to spend money to actually be competitive in there. Yeah, but that's just my opinion.
I think maybe looking at from you have to have spent 100K to be like maxed out is maybe the wrong perspective. Maybe I think that it is more they put their money on you're being sucked into this game from time to time. Like, I mean, everybody knows this. You have this phase where you play something and you're really into it, and then after time it gets boring. And besides Fallout, that's another story. But I think they're just putting the money on from time to time. You buy something, and then you're happy with that because you're happy that you're playing this game and that you're happy that's free. But then you have this one item where you're like, nobody else has this, or not nobody else, but some people don't have it, and I have it. And yeah, I spent like a few bucks on it, but that's fine because I did it once or twice. But I think that's what they're thinking. They're thinking that some people are getting it from time to time because it gives them like this extra top on satisfaction. But it gives that to them because it's the exclusivity, because everybody else plays for free and doesn't have the item. That's my bet. And I think that's the right way we should go with this, because this is like paying with joy.
Not that I'm a gamer or I would ever spend money on games or whatever, but exactly what you said, Vincent. And I think if like they would now send you a bill like 100,000 and you get it, then probably no one would do it. But over time, always little by little, you have these success moments and feeling good about what you get for those little payments. In the end, nobody has any kind of overview of how much they spend in total over the time. So if it then turns out to be 100K, probably they're like fine with it or don't care or whatever. It's just they don't feel hopefully they're not in depth afterwards, but they don't feel that they spent so much money on it because over the duration of times, and then they will do it. I'm pretty sure it will work out.
Yeah, or they simply want to include something like a metric for evaluating the worth that your time is. So if you play for half a year and then you can calculate, oh, this time that I spent there is actually worth $8,000. So if I were being paid for this, then I would get $8,000, and now I feel good that I spent so much time in the game. Might also be this.
Could also be a possibility actually to engage like the play to earn gamers, right? So that actually those guys play the game, so they are engaged into the game, and then they achieve all those features of this one character, and then later on they sell it maybe a little bit cheaper than you would buy it for the normal price within the game. And might be also a way with such high prices to appeal to people who maybe would not go into games like these, play to earn gamers, but now where you have like attractive prices and attractive high value characters, it might be an option for them as well. And so they might actually, in the end, so to say, make their reach a little bit stronger and just wider.
Yeah, I think I agree to what you say. When you see like 48 hours after the game was released, they had 1 million downloads. 4 days ago, they had 10 million downloads. And I'm really curious how it plays out for them in the long run, because now they have this huge amount of publicity, this shitstorm going on. But I'm really curious how they will evolve the game over the next few years, because they're dedicated to keep this running for as long as it generates money.
Right.
And I assume that will work really well for them.
It didn't work for Elder Scrolls though. Look at Elder Scrolls. They had so much money going on there, and so much, like, they produced such a decent game. Didn't work out.
Okay. And it's also part of culture, right? When you look into the Asian market, gaming market, for example, it's totally normal to have pay-to-win games, and that you pay to be good. And in Europe and the US, it's very unlikely that you have success with such a game.
Right.
But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's jump to NASA.
Oh, me again. Yay. So that's the space topic for today. That I also found really mind-blowing, because NASA not just outsourced the spacesuit development to private companies. So we have the discussion again, private companies being quicker and probably less expensive than the agencies, hopefully in that regard. But also the fact that NASA didn't change or like updated their spacesuits for like outside spacewalks or whatever in over 40 years is really mind-blowing if you think of the diversity of missions they performed over this duration of time. Also, it's not adaptable in sizes or really tailored for women, which also increase during those missions. So reading this, although I kind of knew about it, but reading this again was kind of what the hell, actually. And also NASA works on a new spacesuit also since 2007. They already spent millions and millions of dollars on it. They had a prototype. There you can see the picture revealed, I think, in 2019. But they assumed that to finish it, to really have it ready, would cost another $1 billion. And so that's why they decided to outsource it now to the private companies, Axiom Space and Collins Aerospace, who also already have prototypes in place and now will continue the work, also together with NASA and with their learnings, etc. But yeah, this is basically the news because they need a new suit anyway for the lunar explorations in a couple of years. So the 2024 deadline, I mean, neither Artemis nor the spacesuit development will reach that deadline anyways. But even if it's 2025 or later, they need a new spacesuit. That's a fact. And now it's curious to see how quickly these two can really finish the new version and how much it then costs for them in total compared to what NASA already spent in the past 14, 15 years.
What scares me here is that it sounds like, let's outsource this task because private companies are better in cutting costs and getting things done quickly. And if something goes wrong, we have someone to blame.
I wouldn't say that because, they're better at doing it quickly, but they still have to meet the requirements and especially the safety requirements, which are really high and, really strict when it comes to human space exploration. So they cannot go around that. But being quicker in their R&D and decision making probably at this point, try and fail kind of attitude and getting quicker to the end result than the agencies can, because too many stakeholders and politicians and stuff like that are involved in the whole process.
And maybe the private industry finds out that even style is a matter for selling those suits. And maybe then we have the first generation of spacesuits designed by Armani, right?
Speaking of style, I also immediately thought about the new, the not so new anymore, SpaceX spacesuits for their Dragon, the indoor missions, because Elon Musk also last year, when this whole discussion started, actually said SpaceX can do it. We can help NASA because you have problems. We can do it. But now it's actually Axiom Space and Collins Aerospace who got the order.
I just wanted to ask about the SpaceX suit. Why can't they just upgrade the one that they have? I mean, it's not for proper outside missions. I get that. It's an indoor suit. But different to all other companies. I mean, SpaceX is flying to space regularly. So they would kind of benefit from that because I'm sure being asked, SpaceX would, of course, take on outside operations as well, I guess.
And I'm pretty sure they're working on that because, they're planning their Mars missions and they probably already working on creating super stylish, fancy spacesuits for their Mars missions, also then walking on Mars and stuff like that. And probably also for walking on
They're working
Moon.
on a base, right?
Yeah. So, they're probably doing that as well, but NASA now just didn't decide it for them to do it together, so to say.
So NASA was like, okay, well, if we don't finish this suit in time, we'll just take the ones from Apollo to walk on the moon, or what exactly was the vibe there? I mean, not I don't want to be wrong, but shouldn't we be on our way to Mars, to Moon, just on a very old schedule? Isn't that the time now? So Like, what the hell, guys?
It's exactly
Yeah.
nothing to add.
Right. But I mean, that's a very good slogan. So it's intentional that we are wearing these old suits because it's like retro, right? We are going to the moon, and so yeah, that's a real Apollo sticker.
Look at the Coke
I'm wearing
logo.
here.
It's also retro.
Yeah, it's not made for women. It's not adaptable in size, not flexible at all, but it's retro. So let's go for it.
Right. Vincent.
Oh, yeah. So 6 minutes left. I'm going to do that quick. I just wanted to bring the WWDC here as well, because I think it's worth mentioning that Apple now released their new MacBook Airs everybody's been waiting on. They're not in the colors everybody has been expecting, but who knows, maybe they upgrade them. They're on board. They have the M2 chip. The M2 chip's better than the N1, especially in the terms of graphics. It's still not an M1 Pro and M1 Max, but obviously that would be kind of dumb because, well, I mean, they want to sell their more expensive products, and I mean the M1 Pro and M1 Max, especially Max, and then everything beyond, are much more powerful. So it wouldn't make sense in a MacBook Air. However, what I find very interesting is that they also upgraded the base MacBook Pro, which is kind of confusing because I figure why upgrade the MacBook Pro? It has a bit more RAM, but it's still very, very, very similar to the MacBook Air. So I don't really get why do that. Why not take it out of the lineup or do something entirely different, like crazy whatever. Here's a design that we always been thinking about, but we never were bold enough to do it. So for the two people who buy this, have fun. Yeah, but besides that, also WWDC was very interesting for software, especially for Apple CarPlay. Which I am very keen on, as you know. So Apple CarPlay is something that they're working on with, for example, BMW or Audi or a lot of other non-German manufacturers I'm not going to name. And they're working on a deep integration of Apple CarPlay in the car, showing like the whole dashboard being designed by Apple. And that's very interesting because it shows again how much a car becomes software. And that's why I'm bringing this today, because we can see that everywhere that manufacturers are working on software. I mean, look at Volkswagen actually bundling all software things together, and just by bringing all software companies already existing inside the company, and we're all pretty sure that the Volkswagen software is not the best on earth, but still they're bringing this together, and like just by that they have like 4,000 people in one unit. So a lot of people working on this, and this shows this even more. And then there's a lot of other stuff. I mean, I can't even mention all, but iOS 16 is very interesting to see. They bring a lot of desktop functionalities to the iPad OS, which is also really great. And I think it's just Apple does this really nice summarizing stuff. I would have talked about this actually much longer, but since we don't have a lot of time, I'm just saying that there is this video Apple always does, like key takeaways from WWDC and all the other keynotes. And it's actually quite fun looking at this because, again, it shows where Apple is going, and well, at least me, I don't know about all of you guys, but at least me being like 100% in their ecosystem besides the HomePod, which is not good. Taking me with them.
Vincent, we have a question in the chat from Omnitech, and they ask, since you guys are from Europe, is it true that they are forcing Apple to make USB-C iPhones? Is this something that you can answer?
This is something I can answer, yes. The EU just settled on a one adapter only thing for Europe, and it is USB-C as the standard, and that is messing up with Apple's plans because obviously Apple has Lightning, so now you got to know that Lightning is a product of Apple because USB-C wasn't ready. Apple wanted to integrate USB-C as the charger for all products, but they couldn't because USB-C wasn't ready, and they had Thunderbolt, but it wasn't performant enough, so they integrated Thunderbolt. No, sorry, not Lightning. They integrated Lightning. And that is now a problem for Apple because, all manufacturers have to adapt to this up until 2024, which is kind of okay. And Apple has them in a lot of products, but looking at their mobile sector, that creates a big problem for Apple. And not because they have to change the adapter, because looking at 3.5 millimeter audio adapter, that obviously would be fixable with just some adapter they put at least for one generation within the phone, and then it's fine. But this creates another much bigger problem for Apple because, as we all know, Apple was ready to jump from Lightning to contactless. They introduced with the iPhone X They have it in all the other products, or a lot of them. And therefore, the next logical step for Apple is to jump from Lightning to contactless. We don't know when this will happen, but this is definitely the next step in order to make iPhones safer, better produce, and, well, more stylish. This is a question it's open to answer. However, up until now, there was no jurisdiction for adapters at all. And now there is jurisdiction. So now this creates not the problem for Apple that they have to add another adapter. That's not a problem. The problem is that there is a jurisdiction now for adapters in general, which means that when Apple is ready to jump to contactless, this could create a problem because there's jurisdiction saying that they have to include USB-C. And that wasn't exist before. And therefore, this could not be a problem for Apple because they have to spend a bit of their money on adapters. It's a problem because it destroys their product strategy for the next decade.
Yeah, Europe says so.
Sorry, big topic.
Great. Thanks, OmniTech, for your question. We are always happy to answer them. Okay, time is almost up. We can make like a lightning round for the last 3 articles. Maybe this is something that we actually should include, something like a lightning round, 30 seconds, summary, and no discussion. Yeah, and mine, maybe my article is not so much for discussion, but I think everybody needs to know this because Ethereum actually gets its new update soon, and we are talking for a very long time about Ethereum 2.0, which will be based on proof of stake, and this version is now rolled out on one of the old test networks, the Ropsten test network of Ethereum. And they are planning to roll out Ethereum, or the so-called Ethereum 2.0 version, in August this year. And this is so exciting because, from my perspective, the old generation of blockchains like Ethereum and Bitcoin are basically doomed as long as they work on proof of work, because this is step by step being forbidden in several countries because it wastes so much energy. And so seeing a powerful network like Ethereum with the capability of smart contracts actually being able to compete again, this is really, really amazing and will change a lot also on the NFT market. And so I really, really hope that this rollout will be successful, and starting August we will see a new generation of Ethereum. And that's it. Lightning news about Ethereum. Okay. Then we have Chris. 303, see other. What?
Yeah, that's actually a big one. So maybe I just take that to the next tech review, and we'll just give a little bit of a sneak preview right now. This actually adds on to one of the articles we had in the last tech review, where we saw that technology alone will not pave the way for true ownership of digital assets. That is what we had last time. So the outcome was that technology will not pave the way to the metaverse, and there should be some kind of rethinking and redefining aspects of life if we want to transfer them from the real life into the metaverse. So the outcome was that property law actually in the real world is not the same as it is in the metaverse, in the digital world. And this article deals with a similar aspect, right? This is also about something which comes from the digital world. Artificial intelligence is being used to create numerous inventions. And by doing so, it's breaking patent law. And this is really some kind of big challenge for this kind of law, since it has various implications, and we really should maybe discuss about that next tech review for 5 minutes. But it shows one thing, that also here a rethinking in this term, or in this context, rethinking of some kind of law, patent law, is very important to make the whole idea of artificial intelligence patents and having artificial intelligence making inventions becomes real, or actually it is real, but becomes, so to say, sustainable. But as said, let's put that as a little sneak preview into the next tech review.
Right. And then we have Dan.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this article because It's like the next step to a dystopy or utopy, depending on your personal point of view. But Amazon gets closer to their real-life MVP of drone deliveries. And they're currently working with the American aerial FAA to get all the certificates. And if it's done and works, then they can start, I think, in the end of the year to ship products via drone. And they have like one city where they want to start. And it reminded me so much of a patent they filed in 2016, where they're looking into how can we build warehouses which are flying and which then are connected to drones. And that got me like, just wanted to share this outlook into the future of having huge balloons flying through our skies with hundreds of drones delivering things of everyday need. And yeah, wanted to know what you think about this, but I think for a 30-second introduction, that's enough.
Right. But
maybe we can also take that into the next tech review, because it is a very interesting discussion. We had that more than once here in this round. And indeed, it raises up questions, right? So if drone delivery is useful at all, and what are the use cases for like drone delivery? Things for everyday life might not be the best use cases for that, to be honest. So, there's potential for discussion.
Yeah, my mind was gorillas, and if I forget to buy Nutella, that I can order Nutella in 30 seconds and get it delivered to the window of my kitchen just via a drone.
Right, Nutella airstrike.
Yeah. Okay.
But then let's discuss about this next time, and then has a reason to come back to this round.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
love to.
And especially when it comes to utopia versus dystopia, I think we have a lot of opinions that we can throw into this room. Right, but thank you so much for all the amazing articles. It was a pleasure again, and I'm so thrilled that we actually have international audience that throws in questions in the chat. And for the next time, I think I will add like a widget on this dashboard that shows the chat in real time, and so we can see people actually throwing in their questions or maybe even participate in the discussion, right? So amazing. I'm going to do that. Yeah, and that's it for episode 20.
Or maybe the update logo.
Oh yeah, right. Sorry about this. It got lost again.
Maybe the update logo.
It got lost again because last time I was on a different computer, and so I did not transfer this to the new one. Sorry about that. I will add it again. Yeah, and so for everyone, thanks for joining, and we will see you in 2 weeks from now in episode 28. No, not exactly, because then we will have we will mostly be blocked, and so we will probably move it one day, maybe to the Monday. But if you're subscribed to our channel, you will be notified. See you then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.